You're watching the REPA show. My name is Bajaj, and at the moment with us we have our very old friend Professor Iyer, just back from conducting one of the best seminars ever conducted on energy and infrastructure in Surat. Congratulations, Professor Iyer. What a lovely show. Very good show indeed.
Thank you. And we had Metro Network, the only network in the country that was at such an important conclave called the India Power and Energy Conclave 2013.
That's right.
Which was held by, which was conducted by ENERTIA Foundation, our body, and also the Renewable Energy Promotion Association. And this was the first ever such national conclave anywhere, because we have Delhi, we have Mumbai always doing conclaves, but in any state of India, if you look at a state level and having a national conclave, this was the first ever time in the history of the country.
And what was the response to that? I mean, we had. All of us, of course, watched it live over here. What was the response?
The response was terrific, I must tell you. See, the kind of interest that was generated in Surat, was just amazing, because we had a different type of city, which was a different type of a city we had, and we had to go back to the city which has all type of energy in it. I mean to say, it has got nuclear power, it has got hydropower, it has got thermal power, it has got gas-based power. It is also the highest refiner of gas in the country at Hazira. So I don't think we could take this to any other city other than Surat. Even in Gujarat, we had options of going to Ahmedabad, Baroda, but we selected Surat because it had also the Kakrapar atomic power station. It is one of the only indigenously designed, developed, executed power plant successfully operating in the country. So we had this opportunity. And I think it was a wonderful alliance that we had media like Metro Network.
No, that was it there. As far as we are concerned, we've always been there with you, and we'll continue to be there with you. Right. But in terms of the achievement of this particular seminar, what do you think was the achievement? Because will it really make a change in the thinking of people? Do you think there's any change coming? I personally doubt it. But
the biggest question I want to tell you is that for the first time at the conclave, a lot of Hindi was used. For example, I myself gave my speech on Urja Suraksha and all this. मैंने हिंदी में बोला, और सूरत जैसी जगह पे जहाँ पर आप अंग्रेजी भाषा का ज़्यादा प्रयोग नहीं कर सकते, वहाँ पर हिंदी में ऊर्जा को उजागर करना, ऊर्जा के विषयों को उजागर करना, ये बहुत ही बड़ा मेरे ख्याल से अचीवमेंट था वहाँ पर. और हिंदी भाषा में पूरा का पूरा, गुजरात में हिंदी चली है क्योंकि ज़्यादा करके लोग गुजराती बोलते हैं, लेकिन हिंदी लोगों ने बहुत लाइक की. और मेरा एक्सपीरियंस बड़ा अच्छा था इसमें कि वी कुड गो टू द कॉमन मैन इन अनदर सिटी ऑफ इंडिया, एंड आई थिंक वी कैन टेक दिस कॉन्क्लेव अक्रॉस टू मेनी अदर प्लेसेस इन द कंट्री. तो सूरत वो शुरुआत है, और इससे बहुत फ़र्क पड़ेगा, क्योंकि आपको सूरत के लोगों की इंटरेस्ट की बात कहता हूँ. मेरे ख्याल से लोकल मीडिया ने भी बहुत अच्छी प्रमोशन करी शुरू से एंड तक. 4 या 5 दिन मेरे ख्याल से हम न्यूज़ में छाए रहे, कॉन्क्लेव छाया रहा, IPE कॉन्क्लेव 2013 की चारों तरफ बात की गई. उसके अंदर हमने सौर ऊर्जा का रिपोर्ट फर्स्ट टाइम,
सोलर एनर्जी
जी, फर्स्ट टाइम अ वाइट पेपर ऑन सोलर, and that too, that 50 gigawatt solar was possible under the National Solar Mission by 2022 was put in front of people, and it was launched by none other than Saurabhai Patel, the Minister of Energy and Petrochemicals, Government of Gujarat. So I think there was a lot of such achievements over there, and we also saw a lot of interest in solar, tremendous interest in, I would say, decentralized and distributed power, right, and also smart grids. Smart grid was an excellent session. In this country, the power failure that happened on 30th and 31st July was a deadly one, where the entire North India grid was collapsed. That was because we did not have a smart grid access in this country. If we had a smart grid, the center...
But you've been talking about, sorry to interrupt you, but you've been talking about this now for a long time. I've been hearing you talk about this now for the last, I think, 6 or 7 years.
Right.
But very unfortunately, nothing has happened so far.
No, it has all happened in Gujarat. See, let us understand. GETCO, the Gujarat State Company, which is the electricity transmission company of Gujarat, along with utilities like Gujarat Urja Vikas Nigam Limited, the erstwhile GEB distribution company, and the Dakshin Gujarat. By the way, Dakshin Gujarat Wej Company Limited was the main supporter of such a conclave, and that is recently won at ENERTIA Awards it was declared the top utility in the country. And it was not only us, ENERTIA was followed suit by Government of India's own analysis on it, and it was the ICRA survey instituted by the Government of India which found Dakshin Gujarat Wej Company Limited as India's top utility. So you can imagine what has happened. So
Right.
Dakshin Gujarat Wej Company Limited is also, along with GETCO, implementing the first smart grid pilots in the country. So we are already seeing smart grid access coming to Gujarat because it has a lot of renewable energy. You must be knowing that Gujarat, out of the 1045 megawatt of solar that has been executed in the country, 800 megawatt of that comes from Gujarat state.
That's right.
So with such a large renewable access, plus they have about 2,500 megawatt worth of wind energy, with wind and solar already in a big way in Gujarat, of the total of about 20 gigawatt plus, that they have, they're going to reach 25 gigawatt shortly, 26 gigawatt. So of this kind of a capacity, with a large megawatt of solar energy there, and wind energy there, and other renewables coming in, and handling also the hydro, which is actually being transported to rest of the states from Narmada, I think the smart grid access for Gujarat was essential. And it is seen that Gujarat is the 24/7 access state. There is very little failure of electricity which happens.
Yeah, but the only thing over here is, let's be very clear on a couple of things. As far as Gujarat is concerned, Gujarat is already an energy surplus state, right?
No, it only happened last year.
Right, and
Gujarat
has been working very well. So in effect, the entire seminar was a self-congratulatory seminar as far as Gujarat is concerned.
Yeah.
However, as far as the rest of the country is concerned, sorry, I'm saying concern too many times. We've been discussing this now for a long time. Why can't people follow the Gujarat example? Why is it that you have a state over here? It is not rocket science.
Right.
कोई ये तो नहीं है कि भाई नरेंद्र मोदी आ गया, नरेंद्र मोदी आकर के कोई जादुई छड़ी चला दी और गुजरात में सब कुछ हो गया. गुजरात में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पहले से ही था. उस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को अच्छी तरीके से इम्प्रूव किया गया, उसमें प्रगति की गई. Somewhat honest, efficient, competent government was formed.
Right.
A chief minister who's actually listening instead of just talking.
Right.
And you have a situation where Gujarat today is an example for everybody to follow. Now my question to everybody is, why is nobody following the Gujarat example? Please.
See, you need leadership, like you
Right.
rightly said. So we cannot mince words on this. You need a strong leadership to deliver infrastructure projects and power plants, in this country. If you want to deliver infrastructure projects in this country, if you want to deliver the infrastructure projects in this country,
Right.
then the only way you can do is you need very concrete leadership. I will also tell you, it is not only Mr. Narendra Modi, it is ministers like Saurabh Patel with him. It is, I would say, IAS officers like Mr. DJ Pandian, who's also won our ENERTIA awards last year for being the best IAS officer in the country, in any state, to have promoted such development. I think you need a solid team to function there. So there is no team in many of the states. But that does not mean that other states are not doing well. For example, I will give you, there are other states which are trying to emulate the Gujarat model. For them, Chhattisgarh is one example. But Chhattisgarh has to still reduce its transmission and distribution losses. Although it is also surplus in power. It is also surplus in power. But its T&D losses are quite high. For
Transmission and distribution losses, right?
Yeah, because that is where Gujarat has succeeded. It has
That's
come
right.
down. It is the only state in the country which has achieved the national plan for going on T&D losses below 15%. So only state today which has come and executed the central government's model of coming below 15% on T&D loss for all its utilities is the state of Gujarat. So it is not a self-congratulatory. I would actually take a little bit of a different view on that. There is nothing called self-congratulatory. It was ideal to send the message from a state which has done it than from a state which could not do it. We had option of going to Chhattisgarh, we had option of going to Rajasthan, we had option, but we wanted to begin it with a state like Gujarat to send such a message.
Yeah, but the only thing, as far as you are concerned, you were kind of also handicapped because of the fact that you started from Gujarat. Because I believe the center is not supporting you or anybody else who does anything in Gujarat. Is that true?
That is quite true. But in spite of that, I would thank Dr. Farooq Abdullah's ministry. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy was kind enough to partner us. So that also sends the message that it's not always going to be the way that we see it. But I'm very sorry to say that we did not have a BHEL, we did not have Power Finance, these companies somehow, for whatever reasons they have to explain, I don't want to give a reason for it, but they were conspicuous by their absence at the India Power and Energy Conclave, predominantly led by Gujarat companies, that is Dakshin Gujarat Wej Company Limited, Gujarat Power Corporation Limited, which built the largest solar park of GPCL, supported us. which is 214 megawatt solar park, largest in Asia today, which will expand to 500 megawatts. So I think there was something about, either there is a jealousy of success of Gujarat, what we can say, that other, or I would say that it is a simple stark foolishness that they did not come and put up their logo at a place.
Gujarat is part of the country, right?
It is part of the, definitely not only the country, it is the pride of India.
Right.
I would say it's the pride, like the Gujarat lions are the pride of the, I would say, wildlife in India. Gujarat itself is the pride of India. So we have to look at it that way. If you like the Gir lions, you must like Gujarat.
जी और जहाँ तक एक सेमिनार का सवाल है, कॉन्क्लेव का सवाल है, I tell you what, I'd like to show a bit of it to you. Can we have Saurabh Bhai speaking? I think we can show that to you. Let's take a look at a bit of the seminar or conclave that was held in Surat. All thanks to Professor Iyer. We were of course media partners over there, and unfortunately I couldn't attend because of various reasons, can't go into them right now, but I would have loved to have attended. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at a bit of the conclave.
Since last many years, we are passing through bad times, the country as a whole. All governments at the center are trying to work out solutions for the states to come out from the existing issues. But unfortunately, the political will is not there at the center, nor it is there in different parts of the country. And hence, what do we see right now? Non-availability of power, load shedding, non-availability of fuel, I would like to address certain issues which are facing the country as a whole today. Number one issue which is facing the country is, to be very honest, it is policy paralysis of the central government. And I will give you reasons why there is policy paralysis. There is no decision being taken in the energy sector since last many years. Whether it is the issue of fuel, whether it is the issue of availability of plant and machinery, whether it is the issue of rising cost. Since years, the energy department, the petroleum department, the coal department, the railways are not being able to come out with a common policy for the energy sector, resulting in that first time all the private producers in the country, starting from J.R.D. Tata to Anil Ambani to all the topmost industrial houses, in one single day together met the Prime Minister, met the Finance Minister, met the Coal Minister, met the Energy Minister, the Petroleum Minister, and gave them idea of how to resolve the issues. This has happened a year back. First time it has happened. આજે વિચાર કરો કે 10-12 ઉદ્યોગપતિ દેશના એક સાથે ભેગા થાય અને બધાને મળે અને કહે છે કે અમારા બધા પ્રોજેક્ટો બંધ થઈ જવાના છે તો તમે આટલું આટલું નહીં કરો તો. અને હકીકતમાં પરિસ્થિતિ એવી છે, હજારો કરોડો રૂપિયાનું મૂડીરોકાણ થયું છે. 15,000 થી 20,000 મેગાવોટ ઓલરેડી ઇન્સ્ટોલ થઈ છે, પાઇપલાઇનમાં છે અને એના પ્રશ્નો ઉકેલાયા નથી. પહેલો ઇસ્યુ ફ્યુલ છે. કોલ ઇન્ડિયા કોલસાની ખાણો આપી, કેવી રીતે આપી મારે જવું નથી એમાં, એની પાછળનો મોટો કોલ સ્કેમ થઈ ગયો. આપ્યા પછી એન્વાયરમેન્ટ વાળા એન્વાયરમેન્ટ ક્લિયરન્સ ના આપે. એ વખતના મંત્રીશ્રી ગો ને નો ગો બહાર ના નીકળ્યા. એ તો નીકળી ગયા. પ્રધાનમંત્રીને એમ થયું કે ભાઈ એમને આપણે ટ્રાન્સફર કરીશું તો પ્રશ્નનો ઉકેલ આવશે. આજે 1.5 વર્ષ થયું. આજની તારીખમાં કોલ ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટમાંથી એક બી એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ કોલ માઇન્સ ઓફિશિયલી અપાયેલી એની એન્વાયરમેન્ટ ક્લિયર નથી આવતા. હવે આટલા મોટા દેશની અંદર તમે ફ્યુલ જેવા વિષયની અંદર ડોમેસ્ટિક કોલની આપણે જે એસેટ ગણી શકીએ, જો એનો લાભ ન લઈ શકતા હોય તો આપણે પાવર સેક્ટર ગણો કે ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી ગણો કે સ્ટીલ ગણો કે ફર્ટિલાઇઝર ગણો, જેને ફ્યુલ સૌથી અગત્યનું છે, એ કઈ તેમનો રસ્તો બહાર કરશે? શક્ય જ નથી. હજુ સુધી તારીખમાં પાર્લામેન્ટમાં આખા સ્કેમને બીજાને ઉડાડવાની કોશિશ થઈ રહી છે. બીજું, કોલ ઇન્ડિયા એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ માઇન્સનું પ્રોડક્શન નથી વધારી શકતું. તમે વિચાર કરો કે એક બાજુ કોલ ઇન્ડિયા છે, કોલસો આપે છે, ABCD કેટેગરીથી પેલા પ્રાઇસિંગ હતું, વધારે ભાવ લેવા માટે કેલોરીફિક વેલ્યુ પર ચેન્જ કર્યું, એ બી બધી યુટિલિટી આપવાનું નક્કી કર્યું, અને એ છતાં ક્વોલિટી ઓફ કોલમાં ઇમ્પ્રુવ ના થાય, અને કોલસાના વેગન્સની અંદર પથ્થરો આવે અને પથ્થરોનું પેમેન્ટ કરવાનું હોય. આ છે આપણી કોલ ઇન્ડિયાની એફિશિયન્સી. રાજ્ય તો જગી ના શકે. NTPC એ બહાર જોડે એની સામે, અને NTPC કીધું કે અમે તમને પૈસા નથી આપવાના. બંને સેન્ટ્રલ ગવર્મેન્ટ કંપની કોલ ઇન્ડિયા કેમ તમે કોલસો પર બંધ કરી દઈશું? તમે વિચાર કરો, એક સરકાર, બે વિભાગ, કોલ વિભાગ, એનર્જી વિભાગ, એક જ સરકારી કંપનીઓ અને બેના સંકલનની. આ ક્વેશ્ચન પીએમઓ સુધી જાય, પ્રધાનમંત્રી નિર્ણય લેવો પડે. આ એવો વિષય છે.
सौरभ भाई, पहली बार मैंने सौरभ भाई को अंग्रेजी में बोलते हुए देखा, लेकिन उसके बाद फिर गुजराती में शुरू हो गया, which was kind of welcome. But what he was really saying was essentially that even as far as Coal India is concerned, why is it that we lack consistency as far as our coal policy is concerned? Why?
Right.
Why is that? I mean, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but all I'm saying is Coal India has been around for a long time.
Yes.
और हिंदुस्तान की जो कोयले के साथ जो पॉलिसी है वो काफी देर तक है, नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग द कोल स्कैम एंड ऑल दैट, उससे कोई पॉलिसी में कोई खास फर्क नहीं पड़ा। आप मुझे ये बताइए, आज की तारीख में कोयले की इतनी कमी कैसे आ गई हिंदुस्तान में?
देखिए, सबसे बड़ी बात है कि हमारे पास जो कोयला पड़ा हुआ है उसके अंदर ये एफिशिएंसी का सवाल उठा है।
जी,
प्रोडक्शन, प्रोडक्टिविटी एंड एफिशिएंसी, ये तीन एस्पेक्ट में कोल इंडिया की फेलियर मानी जाएगी।
व्हाई कोल इंडिया?
सिंपली बिकॉज एक मोनोपोली डेवलप किया आपने कोई कंपटीशन नहीं दिया उसको।
जी,
एक जब आप मोनोपोली डेवलप करते हैं, आप किसी भी क्षेत्र में देखिए, जैसे सपोज यू सी योर बैंकिंग सेक्टर,
जी,
when the banks were only national banks were operating, there was no private sector bank. After the private sector bank came, then the public sector banks became more efficient. Today, in fact, they are more efficient than the private sector banks in many cases.
right.
So I think we need to do this to Coal India. It cannot be one single company supplying coal to you.
Right.
And every other state coal company you have developed, like Mahanadi Coalfields or Western Coalfields, they are all subsidiary of Coal India Limited. Now we should stop this. Why subsidiary? Why not develop state-based coal companies? This competition, so now there is a problem. They say we will control from center, natural resources. Federal structure will not come. So then this will stop state from developing coal. I feel you can develop a joint sector company. You bring first public sector, center, public sector, state. Develop joint venture companies between state and center in coal and make them competitive models to Coal India. And then you allow the private sector to come and do mining. Don't sell your mines. Today what we are discussing auction. Auction means you're selling off your mines to somebody. Why?
Which you are not authorized to do so.
You're not
Actually
authorized.
speaking, under the constitution of the country,
Yes.
you are not authorized to sell off your mines. That is the most important thing.
Yes.
जहाँ तक के हिंदुस्तान की खदानों का सवाल है, जहाँ तक के mines का सवाल है, you are not authorized to sell off any mine because this belongs to the state.
ये देश का ही, आपका है, मेरा है, गरीबों का है.
It belongs to the people of India. How can you sell off my land? How can you sell off mines?
That's what they're doing. So this is the most stupid policy you can follow. So you have not to do this. You have to allow a kind of a participative model. We have been talking about public-private participation.
जी.
Public-private participation का मतलब निकालिए. इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप प्राइवेट सेक्टर को पूरा एसेट बेच देंगे और कुछ पूंजीपतियों को पैसा बनवाएंगे. इसको रोकना पड़ेगा देश में. We need money. See why the government went to private sector? Because government did not have enough funds to raise capital for projects.
Right.
So capital raising is the job of the private sector. But when private sector comes with capital, it says, I want return on investment. Now, you therefore guarantee return on investment. But then, in this case, you are not guaranteeing return on investment. You are selling off. You are selling off your assets, selling your country off.
This is called selling the country off.
Absolutely.
That's right. And who are you to sell my country off?
This is criminal.
That's right.
Plain criminal. You have other ways of doing it. You allow the Central India Coal Company, first of all, give competition to it by bringing center state participation in the model.
Right.
Then allow the private sector to come and be partners in these projects. Let them bid for 30% stake, 40% stake, 50% stake in these joint sector companies. Then you see the efficiency of the country. I will tell you today, whatever capacity of coal we are barely producing, I will tell you we will double and treble our capacity. We can easily go to 400 million tons of coal with indigenous capacity in the next 5 or 7 years if we follow this policy. Instead of that, we are loitering at 162 million tons.
And as a result of which all of us are suffering.
We'll
And then
suffer.
on top of it, what is happening
We
is,
will further suffer.
और मैं अपने दर्शकों को ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि ये इसमें सिर्फ हम लोगों का नुकसान ही नहीं हो रहा है, इसमें देश के साथ गद्दारी हो रही है. सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि आज की तारीख में भले ही सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर हो, माफ कीजिएगा, with all due respect to the Supreme Court and with all due respect to all other legal institutions, nobody in this country has the right to sell off my coal mines or my iron ore mines because they belong to me. They are national assets. How can you sell them off? That is the most important point. How can the government even think of doing it?
Right.
You can certainly give them on lease.
Right.
You can give them on lease to run.
Right.
You can give it to them on a BOT basis.
Right.
You can give it to them on, there are so many other models,
Right.
on a revenue sharing model and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But you can't sell it off.
I'll give you an example. Today the government figure is they are producing roughly 460 million tons of coal. Now I told you lower figures because you are only selling stones and pebbles. You know, NTPC has kicked you out. So your actual production is only 160, 170, 180. So you're cheating the country.
Right.
Because rest of it is being stolen by all the mafia. So where it is going? First of all, they must answer this question. I would say the power sector barely uses the good quality coal. It is only the poor quality coal that comes to this sector. The good quality coal in this country goes for production of steel. High grade coal goes for production of steel, not for production of power. So we must clarify in this issue. The best grade of steel, this thing is going for production of steel and not for power plants, right? And power plants take the worst grade of coal, let me tell you. But even after taking, I need a minimum calorific value for that. That calorific value is the heat content of coal which talks about generation of real megawatts. So real megawatt is देश में कम होते जाएगा, कोल अवेलेबिलिटी कम होती जाएगी और ये नॉन कॉम्पिटिटिव मॉडल जो एक मोनोपोली आपने डेवलप करी, एक बड़ा आपने ऐसा व्हाइट एलिफेंट पाल रखा है कोल इंडिया नाम का, इसको पहले डिसमेंटल करिए या इसके साथ कुछ करिए, इसको कंपटीशन दीजिए, इसकी बोर्ड को प्रोफेशनलाइज करिए. सेकेंडली देयर इज ऑल्सो कंट्रोवर्सी, द चाइल्ड्स फंड इज द ओनर ऑफ ब्लडी कोल इंडिया.
Yes.
Now you have already de facto sold it long time back. So whoever it is must be put behind bars. And I will tell you, Coal India was selling coal at below market prices according to me for all these years.
Yes.
And the previous chairman and managing director Partha Bhattacharya must be arrested and put behind bars. I am very clearly telling on this channel, he is now advisor to the government. So why we are not arresting Mr. Partha Bhattacharya for selling coal below price? Why we are going only after this coal gate scam? You are not selling coal at 4,000 rupees per ton. You are selling at 1,000 rupees per ton when international price was that. So you underprice coal, and because of underpricing of coal, what happened? You went to all this auction business. You want to give to private sector, and coal-based power was selling at 2 rupees 50 paisa. So Indian crowd and people thought everything is sasta when you produce from coal, and that was further sending carbon to your environment. So solar power plants never came up because of this issue.
Solar power plants and nuclear power plants as well. And as a result of it, there was a huge...
non-carbon renewable energy, even nuclear renewable.
there was this huge opposition to all nuclear power plants because of your coal policy.
Right. In fact, Manmohan Singh government for the 10 years must answer why they allowed. See, very cleverly, Mr. Partha Bhattacharya retired about a few months back, and whatever has been done in his time has not been questioned. Everybody will try to defend him. But I mean to say, this government, the next big coal scam is underselling of national assets at low price by Coal India itself, and underpricing coal and then putting all the mud and muck in it and selling it to national company like NTPC, where NTPC chairman recently has said we will not buy your coal anymore without the gross calorific value and the quality of coal being tested.
That's right.
And you are forcing NTPC, and you are making it also a white elephant by forcing this bad quality, all the stones and everything without any calorific value.
And in fact, most of the power plants being run at the moment on coal-fired power plants, they don't have they don't have coal capacity beyond what, couple of weeks, or is it a month?
Now it is 3 days.
3 days.
I can tell you.
You heard it. You heard it. It's 3 days.
3 days.
मतलब आपके जो कोल बेस्ड पावर प्लांट्स हैं उनमें आपके पास जो कोल स्टोरेज है, यानी कोयले की जो स्टोरेज है, वो महज 3 दिनों की, 3 डेज.
बिल्कुल. अब हम 3 दिन पे आ गए. महाराष्ट्र के इतने प्लांट्स हैं जिनमें 3-3 दिन का, जैसे भुसावल है, परली तो बंद पड़ा है क्योंकि वहाँ मराठवाड़ा रीजन में पानी नहीं है
जी,
तो पानी सप्लाई नहीं हो रही, परली बंद पड़ा हुआ है. तो परली के जितने मेगावाट है सारे बंद हैं. लेकिन बाकी प्लांट्स में क्या हालत है आज कोयला 3 दिन के ऊपर, किसी के पास 3 दिन का है, किसी के दिन का 6 दिन का है. और एवरेज आप देखो, एवरेज आउट करेंगे तो 3 से 4 दिन का कोयला अवेलेबल है. ऐसे परिस्थिति है. और मैं आपको ये भी बताना चाहूंगा इस चैनल पे कि कोयला आज मेघालय और बाकी स्टेटों से भी अवेलेबल है. प्राइवेट ऑपरेटर्स के पास अवेलेबल है क्योंकि वहां पर वो ऑक्शन टाइप का हुआ है. लेकिन वो ऑपरेटर आज घूम रहे मार्केट में, उनसे कोई कोयला नहीं ले रहा. ये एक अगला फ्रॉड है कि उनसे कोयला नहीं लिया जा रहा. और मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, मेरे पास एक मेघालय का कोल आया अभी, 8 बिलियन टन्स का कोल है उनके पास देने का कैपेसिटी, सॉरी 8000 टन्स देने का पर मंथ कैपेसिटी है उनके पास. ठीक है, 8000 टन पर मंथ. वो बंदे लोग कोल बेचना चाहते हैं. उसकी कैलोरी वैल्यू आप सुनना चाहेंगे? 6700 किलो कैलोरी पर किलोग्राम, बेटर देन ऑस्ट्रेलियन कोल. मेघालय से कोल आ रही है. मैं आपको ये इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहा हूँ. लेकिन उसको लेने वाला आज वो ढूंढ रहे हैं लोग कि उसका कोयला कौन लेगा. अब जब ये परिस्थिति हमारे देश में रहेगी और उसको कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं देगा, क्योंकि बोलेंगे हम 8000 टन क्यों लें. भाई बुलाओ, इस कोयले को लो जो हमारा स्टैंडर्ड कोल है, जो आपका शासन में यूज होने वाला है, विच इज इन द कोल बेल्ट, विच इज द कोरबा छत्तीसगढ़ एंड दिस क्या बोलते हैं आपका जो विंध्याचल का कोल है, विच इज 3500 to 4000 के बीच में किलो कैलोरीज पर किलोग्राम है. उससे डबल आपकी मिल रही है यहाँ 6600. आप मेघालय का कोल नहीं ले रहे हैं. आप इमेजिन करिए, आप फिर इंपोर्ट करेंगे. यू विल इंपोर्ट फ्रॉम इंडोनेशिया which has got such moisture content, it's like a paste. You can't run it in your boilers, and you are still not trusting the Indian coal. Is Meghalaya belonging to India or some other country? Why don't you buy Meghalaya coal?
And at the end of the day, you got a hell of a lot of these operators who are operating, who are allegedly operating a lot of these Indonesian coal mines.
Absolutely.
They're all over the market, and everybody coming in and saying, does anybody need coal? Does anybody need coal? We've got coal. We've got coal. All over the place. You remember, I mean, right over here in this office, you met about 10 or 15 of these guys who had come in.
Absolutely.
And they all wanted their coal to be picked up.
Yes, but nobody is there to pick them up. And it's very funny, when I told you Northeast, you know, on the northeastern side, there's a lot of coal. And what has happened, the coal can be mined decently with environmental protection. But what happened, they all have to come to Guwahati. The stocking godowns and points are Guwahati. And when they have to load it on rail wagons, the railway fails miserably, my friend. Railways will not give you the wagon. So coal can't be transported.
So you have no choice.
Yes.
You have no choice but to import coal.
Yes.
Because that coal will be imported from Indonesia or from some Southeast Asian country,
right,
where some Chinese middleman is going to make a lot of money.
Yes.
And that coal is going to come over here. It will be low grade coal.
Yes.
And by the time it is washed,
right,
and gotten ready to put into your power plant, you have already lost more than half of it.
Yes. And then worst thing is, our boilers, our technology, what is done here is not suitable to work with that coal. So there is an idea called blending of imported coal with local coal. Without local coal, you cannot operate any coal-based power plant in this country. Let us not use this idea that we will run a plant totally on imported coal.
Right.
That experiment is failed. We need to blend it with Indian coal. So the best thing is a 50-50 blend or 60-40 blend. That means 60% indigenous coal, 40% imported coal. So this type of a blending will give the best result in a power plant. Instead of doing this, what our power plants are operating upon, either we are saying it's import or you buy local coal and do it. So this is the most foolish idea. When the country has large capacity of coal within its own, it needs to increase productivity, and importing should be done to increase the, I would say, value.
So what was the mood as far as Surat is concerned? Could you tell us, because you are the chairman of lots of these power companies over there, you had a lot of people who are directly affected by what you're talking about just now. What were they saying?
See, everybody had a completely negative view on the central government, because Gujarat felt that on gas, Gujarat has 4,000 megawatt of gas-based power, out of which 100 megawatt is only operating. Can you believe it? Out of 4,000 megawatt. And I will tell you, it's not only state of Gujarat. In Maharashtra, we have somewhat similar 5,000 or 6,000 megawatt of gas-based power, of which we are not operating more than 500 megawatt. So if most of the gas-based power plants are not operating in the country for want of gas, who is responsible? The gas is the canalizing, I would say, fuel, and canalized fuel, which are not based on market price mechanism, which are based on canalizing agencies pricing, which is GAIL and Petronet LNG and others, who are not providing this gas to these power plants, and predominantly fertilizer production is given the gas. Then I tell you, this country is going dead, because fertilizer is the last and the worst used to produce for using gas. We can use naphtha or some other, I would say, fuel to produce fertilizers. Why using gas? The best grade of fuel, which is for power plant. Secondly, very large power plants should not be given gas. So many decentralized and distributed power plants are there, which have 80 to 90% efficiency, and they are not given gas. So the story of coal and gas is non-availability. Not because they are not available, but because we are making it non-available. Second, pricing. Look at gas pricing. Here I want to bring the Reliance issue. Today also from KG-D6, our friend Mukesh Ambani is not producing an ounce of gas. And what is the result? Because of which today the country's gas production has come so low that we cannot supply to our power plants today. NTPC's own power plants has not been supplied, and the war is on pricing. Now on pricing, we are discussing, Reliance and the country are discussing for the last 3 years pricing and not making gas available. So I would, in this case, it's not only the government but also the way, the attitude of some companies like Reliance Industries Limited, who think that national assets are private assets.
But the fact is, the government has made them so, isn't it? The
fact remains that
the government has made them so. After all, why is it that that all those people who used to be in ONGC, who used to be in the oil exploration infrastructure set up by the government of India, who have now joined Reliance, why is it that no action has been taken against them? After all, who gave this KG D6 over to Reliance? Who handed it over? There's a whole story over there. Why is it that nobody's picking up on that story, and why is it that nobody's talking about it?
See, it's a simple thing. See, here is the most powerful business entity of the country, called Reliance Industries Limited, right? I would say Mukesh Ambani and his group has every right to do business in this country, like any other group, but they have no right to hold the country to ransom on an asset. Now, this is exactly what my point is. I have nothing personal against Ambani's, but I'm saying, when you are using the country's fuel and resources, and you are making your stock go up without producing an ounce of that resource, what you must be called? Dhirubhai would never accept this situation.
Right.
I'm sorry, their father is not alive. Otherwise, they would have given a rap on the knuckle, and he would have said, you start producing gas tomorrow. Instead of that, we have no gas, because combination of government apathy and combination of their inability to even handle a person like Mukesh Ambani. They should call him right in the table and tell him that this is it. You must produce and you must start production. If you fail, they started production and they reported production loss. It was all gimmick. If you have reported production loss, why did British Petroleum, of all people, invest and take 21% stake in your company?
Not for somewhere where you don't produce even an ounce of gas.
Absolutely. Do these companies come in India and invest in depleting assets? I am just amazed at this kind of an argument in this country. So who you are helping? So the public is being made a fool by everybody, including some of our businessmen, and the public.
And which is sad. Which is
very sad.
And not just sad, it's tragic. It's awful.
Awful. It is awful.
So you've got to get up. Everybody has to get up and say, hey, listen, this is mine. Which is exactly the point I come to right in the beginning. How can the government even think of selling off a coal mine? You can't do it.
Now everybody is talking of auction. I would be not surprised if Supreme Court also accepts auction. Initially, they made a comment that auction is not the only route. Yes. They gave an idea. That means they said there are alternatives. And इनफैक्ट गुजरात, वन ऑफ द आउटकम्स ऑफ गुजरात जो मैं आपके साथ डिस्कस करना चाहता हूं, इज द मॉडल ऑफ प्राइस डिस्कवरी वी डिस्कस्ड. वी सेड इंस्टेड ऑफ ऑक्शनिंग यू डू द प्राइस डिस्कवरी. So this I made price discovery model available for solar and every other model we can do this. Price discovery का मतलब क्या होता है, मैं सौर ऊर्जा से आपको एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ एंड मेरे आपके व्यूअर्स को एक्सप्लेन करना चाहता हूँ. अगर आपको सस्ते में सौर ऊर्जा चाहिए, आज वो 7 करोड़ से 8 करोड़ पर मेगावाट में बन रही है और करीबन 7 रुपये 8 रुपये की बात कर रहे हैं पर यूनिट. इसको हमें सस्ता करना है तो हम कुछ पार्टियों को बोले, 20 पार्टियों को बोले आप टेंडर भरिए और गवर्नमेंट अपनी पहले प्राइस डिस्कवर करे. उस टेंडर के पहले गवर्नमेंट बोले हमारे नजर में ये जो प्लांट है 6.5 रुपया पर यूनिट होना चाहिए और 6.5 करोड़ पर मेगावाट. गवर्नमेंट इसको डिक्लेयर करे. आप समझिए 20 पार्टियों में से आपको 5 पार्टियों ने कोट किया 5 रुपये 50 पैसे और बाकी लोग 6, 6.5, 7 पे हैं. तो प्राइस डिस्कवरी मॉडल के अंदर जो सबसे सस्ता है 5.5, उनको फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट राइट में बुलाया जाएगा और बोला जाएगा तुम्हारी टेक्निकल स्पेसिफिकेशन मैच करो जो सरकार को चाहिए.
जी
मैच हो गई, 5.5 रुपये डिस्कवर हो गए, तो बाकी के जो 15 बचे हैं उनको भगाया नहीं जाएगा, उनको भी बुलाया जाएगा. उनको बोला जाएगा इस 5.5 रुपये में आप लेना चाहते हैं और इसी टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ, इसी टेक्निकल स्पेसिफिकेशन के साथ, तो आपको 20 पार्टियां 5.5 रुपये मिल जाएंगी. उसके बाद आपकी प्राइस डिस्कवर हो गई कि अब 5.5 रुपये के ऊपर किसी को दिया नहीं जाएगा.
जी
तो ये वाली मॉडल आप क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? आप ऑक्शन की मॉडल क्यों कर रहे हैं? हर जगह आप कोल की प्राइस डिस्कवरी करिए. आप बोलिए
ऑक्शन का मॉडल यहाँ पर इसलिए भी हो रहा है, एक चीज की माफ कीजिएगा प्रोफेसर अय्यर, हो सकता है कि आप मेरी बात से सहमत ना हो, लेकिन the auction model is being looked at only because of the fact that the opposition made such a huge hue and cry over what happened in the so-called 2G scam.
See, देखिए क्या
Listen,
है कि
there was a bit of a scam, but it wasn't worth 1,76,000 crores. The figure of 1,76,000 crores was a notional figure, which was a silly figure, which was a figure which existed only on paper.
अब मैं आपको एक घटना बताता हूँ.
जी.
कल हमारे रेलवे मंत्री के नेफ्यू फंस गए.
जी.
ठीक है, तो अब हमारे रेलवे मंत्री बोल रहे हैं कि मुझे पार्लियामेंट में बोलने का मौका दिया जाए. तो फिर राजा साहब को क्यों नहीं बोलने का मौका?
बिल्कुल,
ये एक सवाल देश
चाहिए.
पूछे, क्योंकि आप उसको क्रिमिनल घोषित कर दीजिए, लेकिन किसी क्रिमिनल को अपना डिफेंस देने का भी वो हक है.
That's right.
आप कसाब को अलाउ करते हैं कि वो अपना डिफेंस करे,
Correct.
लॉयर ले, लेकिन आप राजा को
अफजल गुरु हो, कसाब हो, जो भी हो, बिल्कुल,
तो आप राजा को नहीं डिफेंस करना देंगे. तो ये कानूनी गलत होगा
जी.
ये कानूनन गलत होगा, लीगली गलत होगा, क्योंकि आप वन साइडेड डिसीजन ले रहे हैं और उसको अपना डिफेंस के रूप में.
And I find it absolutely impossible to believe that Mr. Raja could have acted on his own. After all, there's something called the Committee on Economic Affairs. There is no way that something like this could have gone through, without approval from the CCEA.
Absolutely.
And the CCEA at that time was reporting to Pranab Mukherjee, who was reporting to the Prime Minister of the country.
Absolutely.
So let's not get into that.
This is the auction issue came out of telecom.
That's right.
It was not a product of the energy sector or the infrastructure sector.
Yes.
So the price discovery model, which I am telling your channel constantly now, and that's what I said in Gujarat, is the model that the country must follow. Not competitive bidding alone. A competitive bid without price discovery is a farce. You will get the cheapest, lowest.
You know what you will get?
Junk.
I'll tell you what you will get. You will get the roads of Mumbai.
Yes.
You will get the drainage of Mumbai.
Absolutely.
Because Mumbai went in for the so-called bidding model.
Right.
And as a result of which, we finally came to a conclusion, lowest bid has to be accepted. And that's it.
You imagine,
and you can take a look.
Imagine the irrigation scam.
Yes.
70,000 crores and not an ounce of water coming out of it.
That's right.
That is the type of scams you will get when you go to competitive
For
bidding.
just a competitive bidding model. That's right. And which is sad.
Which is
not just sad, which is tragic.
And this country should remove the L1, the lowest tender.
That's right.
The lowest tender means the worst tender.
Yes.
If it does not work, then you can get junk. The Chinese are happy selling junk to us, I am telling you.
It's not a question of you will get junk. You will get junk. Not
Yes.
you're likely to get junk.
You get junked.
You are only going to get junk and you will get junked yourself.
Yes.
And that's exactly what has happened in this country.
Happening. It is being sent to dogs with this kind of a model. Can you imagine a powerful nation like India doing this? It is in defense equipment.
We are a powerful nation with the Chinese right there breathing down on our neck and shoving their camps right into our throat. You think we are a powerful nation?
No, we have told our people not to act, just sleep, just relax. It's an inactive government, according to me. It is a complete paralytic government today. This government is very active when it comes to stopping their critics. It will put a gag order on its critics. But when it comes to its own people, when it comes to governance, when it comes to delivering to the country, it is found wanting. It is so unfortunate. So we cannot have this perpetually. It has to change at some point of time. And if it is a very sorry state, if either the government changes itself or the government will be changed by the people.
Right. I don't really know whether the government is really going to be chained to other people, considering the fact that there is no alternative, and the TINA factor is going to operate. That's my opinion in the 2014 elections as well, as it is. As you'll be able to see shortly in Bangalore. After all, our resident astrologer, Mr. Subhajit
Yeah, fine. I'm sorry, I would take a...
has already announced it.
Yeah, but I would take a little bit contra view. I think the Modi storm is up to come.
Right.
Whether they like it or not, I am telling you on the channel that man, whether you like or not, will come and lead the country.
As all of our viewers know, as far as Narendra Modi is concerned, each time we've held a survey whether or not Narendra Modi should be the Prime Minister, 99% of you have said yes, but I don't see the BJP making him the Prime Minister. That's the whole point. That is the problem. You have a gentleman called Mr. L.K. Advani sitting right over there, still hoping to be Prime Minister, and he will definitely never be Prime Minister, so the BJP will not get a Prime Minister, and that's exactly what is going to happen as far as Karnataka is concerned. The Karnataka results are going to be on very, very shortly, and we will see over there that the Congress has come back to power in Karnataka. Now, the problem is this as far as the country is concerned. You have a situation where you need infrastructure, you need it now. You need it yesterday.
Yes.
You need energy. You needed it yesterday.
Right.
All right?
Right.
Your own hometown, Faridabad,
Yes.
has been destroyed because of lack of energy.
Absolutely.
It was the industrial hub of the country after partition.
It was called Manchester of India in those days.
That's right.
In the 80s.
And today it has nothing.
It is nothing. Because
So that's what's going to happen to the rest of the country as well. Isn't that right?
it will happen, because you see, I'm sorry, I'm looking political. The Haryana government is a Congress government. The Maharashtra government is a Congress government.
Yes.
If you look at it politically, it will look like that. The governments that are functioning are governments of Chhattisgarh, governments of, I would say, Madhya Pradesh, governments of, and really at the top is the government of Gujarat. You like it or not. It is very unfortunate or fortunate or whatever for Congress they can think. But I think, according to me, this country, although I will not look at the astrological prediction, I look at a logical prediction.
The logical prediction is that the BJP will never allow Narendra Modi to come up and they will undermine him everywhere.
But I think Vidika Vidhana, I have a different feeling. I feel that man will have his last
Now
laugh.
you're talking astrologically.
I'm talking sensibly. I'm talking sensibly.
Vidika Vidhan.
Because why I said Vidika Vidhan? Because it's sensible. Because if this country wants a true leader, then they must go with him. Otherwise, let the Congress show performance. Let Rahul immediately.
Congress will never show performance.
They
Let's
should
be very
kick all
clear.
these ministers out. Right now, they
Right.
should kick the law minister out. They should kick this rail minister out. And they should give a dose at the home ministry, because that man destroyed the power sector of India. Mr.
Yes.
Shinde. Sushil Kumar Shinde was the destroyer of the power sector of this country. He was the worst power minister the country produced. I am coming on the channel and saying this. And I said this before also on another channel. You can go and watch it. And if these guys cannot, and he can't be a better home minister. He's a disaster in home ministry. And because of such people, your internal minister is so bad. That is why you can't respond externally also. Because externally, our friend Krishna, S.M. Krishna was reading out from some other people's, speech once upon a time.
Yes.
He had his flag upside down. So we have such ministers, and Congress, quickly they get rid of all this kind of non-performance, and I would say completely, it is not the Nehru Congress. Nehruji would be crying today. I'm telling you on the channel, the great Jawaharlal Nehru, the builder of India's infrastructure, must be crying from wherever he's sitting. He must be crying in his heavenly abode. He must be crying that, is this the Congress that we built?
Yes.
So Congress must be saved from congressmen, not from the opposition. I'm being very ruthless here. Congressmen must be saved from congressmen, and Congress must be saved from the same congressmen. So either they throw these people out, get some young guys in, and let their young ministers perform, then the whole game is changing. Otherwise, this country must deliver a verdict where these non-performing must be thrown out.
Because at the moment what is happening is it's becoming almost impossible for any industry to survive in this country, for any industry to become competitive with the rest of the world, because you're already in a globalized environment. Yes. Where Cyprus sells its gold in the open market and the price of gold falls all over the world.
Absolutely.
So there is nothing, you cannot be in isolation now.
Yes.
You have to be competitive, and to be competitive you have to have the most efficient way of delivering whatever is required, and this, by the way, is the least efficient way. Not just the least efficient way, what we are doing at the moment is the worst possible way of doing things.
And can you imagine, every time these things happen, we only talk of auctioning, we only talk of these kind of things,
And then everything shuts down.
and everything shuts down. And then there is no, see, today also the country is reeling under a heavy power cut. 80 gigawatt worth of peak load deficit exists in the country.
Right.
50 gigawatt of base load deficit. Can you imagine, can they wash this out without I would say, a war footing work in the power sector?
They can't.
So then why we are not having a war footing? Our young energy power minister himself is inactive because he is under the load of the dirty work done by his predecessor, whose guys are still loitering around and around his shoulder so that they perform. I will tell you, the only Farooq Abdullah's ministry has performed. I will give hats off to that man. That man ministry resulted in 26 gigawatt of renewable energy in this country. Right? Today we are talking of doubling it slowly. Right? We are talking of getting 30% from renewable energy, and that's the kind of targets. We have good officers in his ministry like Tarun Kapoor. Why the other ministry cannot? Why the power ministry cannot have good officers? Today I am very sorry to say that the erstwhile power secretary Uma Shankar was an absolutely useless character. In fact, Mr. Uma Shankar should have never been made the power secretary. And I hear that he is going to become the chairman of the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. He becomes the chairman, I am going to get his pants down as the editor of ENERTIA. And this man is the worst destroyer of the power sector. Acted nothing earlier in his own avatar of being the chairman and managing director of this Rural Electrification Corporation. He has made that corporation the most corrupt corporation of the country. So such people cannot be allowed to take positions of power. Do you get such power secretaries in the country? How will the power ministry function with such guys? They can't clear a paper, they can't work on, they can't argue with the Ministry of Environment. See, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, there were two great Samaritans, according to them. They destroyed all the projects.
That's right.
Our friend Jairam Ramesh continuously stopped everything.
Yes.
And Jayanti Natarajan unfortunately cannot act.
She can't act, and effectively she's not taking any decision at all.
Right.
As a result of which, practically every project is just languishing. It's not doing anything else.
Absolutely. So Ministry of Environment and Forest is become a great pain for any development in this country.
That's right.
And then they are not realizing that.
यानी कहने का मतलब ये हुआ कि आज की तारीख में अगर आपको जरा भी औद्योगिकरण का काम करना है, उद्योग कहीं पर भी लगाना है, तो बाकी सब परमिशन आपको भले ही मिल जाए, लेकिन पर्यावरण मंत्रालय ऐसा है जहां से आपको एक बहुत बड़ा रोड ब्लॉक मिलेगा और उस रोड ब्लॉक को हटाने में ही आपके 5 के 10 साल चले जाएंगे और उसके बाद कुछ नहीं होगा।
और इसी में सौर ऊर्जा का सक्सेस है। मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट फॉरेस्ट से डील नहीं करना पड़ता सौर ऊर्जा।
करेक्ट। That's it. So therefore, all you got to do is to go solar. That's what we've been trying to tell you. Go solar. That is the only way forward.
Absolutely.
So which means that the Environment Ministry will not even be able to look at you, and even if they dare to look at you, they'll be blinded by the solar energy.
Right.
That's what's going to happen.
And one more thing I want to tell you about solar. Solar is a completely federal power sector. It's a federal power issue. It's a federal energy resource. Why
Right.
I tell you? Because it is no more in the control of the central government. Center can make policy. It is the states' policy that will work on
Yes.
solar. And when our states, the 30 states become powerful and start competing, and they take the solar energy to the next level. That's why I said 50 gigawatt solar by 2022. Nothing less. Government's national solar mission is a farce. 20 megawatt cannot be done. 20 gigawatt cannot come by 2022. 20 gigawatt by 2020, only 3%. Now I want 7% from solar by 2022. And 150 gigawatt by 2032. That is what our white paper says. India's first ever public-private white paper delivered by ENERTIA Foundation and REPA talks about this future. And this future, you see, Rajasthan will have 10 gigawatt. Gujarat will have 15 gigawatt. They themselves will bring 25 gigawatt. So what is the National Solar Mission doing?
That's right.
Right?
And if we are able to get whatever we have planned out as far as the city of Mumbai is concerned,
Right.
if we are able to get all the rooftops of Mumbai,
3 gigawatt.
you get 3 gigawatts.
Straight away.
And Mumbai doesn't need to buy electricity from anybody else.
Nobody. That's it.
Immediately, your power, which is at 4 rupees 50 paisa per unit, immediately comes down.
Another point I want to make. If India's all educational institutions, terraces are integrated, right? So Pune is an educational city.
Yes.
In Haryana, the whole of Haryana is educational.
That's right.
If you integrate these kind of models, the country will produce minimum, I am telling you, 10 to 15 gigawatt. If all educational institutions in the country and their rooftops are integrated, I am talking of rooftops, just educational institutions, IITs, NITs, your local state colleges, engineering colleges, MBA schools, all are integrated. Mandatorily with solar. Mandatory with solar. Watch my word.
Gee.
All educational institutions in the country, in the rooftop, mandatory solar will produce itself 10 to 15 gigawatt.
Well, I tell you what, if Tirupati can do it, if Shirdi can do it,
Everybody can do
why
it.
can't the rest of the country do it? That's
Why
what I mean, that's strange, isn't it?
It's very strange.
आज की
Extremely
तारीख
strange.
में अगर बालाजी तिरुपति का जो किचन है, एक एक चीज वहां पे सोलर एनर्जी पे चल सकती है। शिरडी के साईं बाबा का जो किचन है, साईं बाबा की जो रसोई है वो सूर्य की ऊर्जा से चलती है, यानी सोलर एनर्जी से चलती है।
खाना खिला सकते हैं।
दैट्स राइट। तो बाकी हिंदुस्तान क्यों नहीं चल सकता, मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
विल नहीं है सर, पॉलिटिकल विल नहीं है, और मेरे ख्याल से ब्यूरोक्रेटिक विल भी नहीं है कई जगहों में
जी।
पॉलिटिकल विल खाली हम क्यों बोले, हम पॉलिटिशियन को क्यों ब्लेम करें? जो 5वीं पास, 7वीं पास, 10वीं पास है, और 10वीं पास भी नहीं होते, वो हमारे नेता बन जाते हैं, ठीक है। और जो हमारे ब्यूरोक्रेट हैं, जो IAS हैं, जो पूरे पास हुए पड़े हैं, जिन्होंने सबसे अच्छे एग्जाम्स क्रॉस किए हैं, जो इंडियन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सर्विस है, वो क्यों इतनी फेल हो रही है? 80% काम नहीं कर रहा उसमें।
लेकिन यहां पर लोगों का भी प्रेशर, लोगों का भी दबाव जितना बढ़ना चाहिए उतना नहीं बढ़ रहा है। और दूसरी चीज ये है, मेरी समझ में जो आ रहा है, और ये मैं अपने दर्शकों के सामने रखना चाहूंगा, अब क्या होने वाला है, और यही होना चाहिए, और यही गांधी जी का सपना था, पंडित जी का नहीं, गांधी जी का सपना था। क्या सपना? कि हर कोई शख्स अपना काम करेगा, हर गांव अपनी ऊर्जा उत्पन्न करेगा, एम्प्लॉयमेंट भी वही होगी, एक एक चीज अपनी होगी। यानी सोलर एनर्जी आप खुद प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं, किसी की परमिशन की जरूरत नहीं है आपको। आज अपनी रूफटॉप के ऊपर आप खुद सोलर पैनल लगा सकते हैं, अपनी सोसाइटी के अंदर खुद सोलर एनर्जी आप प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं।
बिल्कुल।
सबसे बड़ी बात यह है, और यही होने वाला है। आखिर में देश के लोग अपने भविष्य को, अपनी किस्मत को अपने हाथ में लेकर के सरकार को दिखाएंगे ठेंगा, और ये कहेंगे तुम्हें जो करना हो कर लो, पॉलिसी तुम्हें जो बनानी हो बना लो, हम अपने देश को खुद बनाएंगे और खुद चलाएंगे। ये होने वाला है।
बिल्कुल। और मैं आपको बोल रहा हूं कि इस पूरे प्रक्रिया को हमने इसको गैर पारंपरिक ऊर्जा बोला है।
गैर पारंपरिक ऊर्जा
आप सोच सकते हैं
यानी
पारंपरिक ऊर्जा कोयला हुआ, ये तो बड़ी कमाल की सोच है हमारी। पारंपरिक ऊर्जा तो वो हुआ ना जो डायरेक्ट आया, सोलर आया, सन आया, विंड आया, हाइड्रो आया, ये पारंपरिक ऊर्जा हुआ
जी।
ये कहाँ का है? कन्वेंशनल इसको बोलने की जगह इसको हम नॉन कन्वेंशनल बोल रहे हैं। और जो कोयला है, गैस है, उसको हम कन्वेंशनल नहीं, उसको हम कन्वेंशनल बोल रहे हैं, जो कि नॉन कन्वेंशनल है।
बिल्कुल। गैस भाई जमीन से आपको न जाने कितनी मशक्कत करनी पड़ती है, गैस निकालने के लिए, पेट्रोल निकालने के लिए, कोयला निकालने के लिए।
तो वो कैसे पारंपरिक हो गया?
जी।
तो ये हमारी जो मानसिक सोच है, इसको हमको पूरा ट्विस्ट करना है, लट्टू की तरह उल्टा स्पिन करना है, इसको रिवर्स डालना है, इसको रिवर्स करना है। पूरी एनर्जी ट्रेन को रिवर्स, थिंकिंग को रिवर्स करके रीडिजाइनिंग द प्लैनेट की बात कर रहा हूं मैं, सोच को।
और रीडिजाइनिंग के लिए सबसे पहले आप शुरू करें अपने घर से, सबसे पहले आप शुरू करें अपनी हाउसिंग सोसाइटी से, सबसे पहले आप शुरू करें अपनी बिल्डिंग से, सबसे पहले आप शुरू करें अपने बिल्डिंग के कंपाउंड से। वहां से अगर आप शुरू करते हैं तो ही जाकर के फिर शहर में ये थिंकिंग जो है जो आएगी, ये सोच बदलेगी। सबसे पहले आपका घर बदलेगा, आपकी सोसाइटी बदलेगी, आपकी बिल्डिंग बदलेगी, तभी जाकर के आपका शहर बदलेगा और देश बदलेगा। उसके बगैर नहीं हो सकता है। बट इट हैज टू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम यू।
यस। और मैं ऐसे गांव के लिए भी आपको, क्योंकि हम लोगों को लगेगा आप और मैं यहाँ बैठ के शहरों की बात कर रहे हैं
जी,
मैं गांव के लिए बताना चाहता हूँ। ये हमने गुजरात में, सूरत में बात करी। भारत के अंदर जो दूध आंदोलन है
जी,
जो व्हाइट रेवोल्यूशन है जी, जो पूरा हुआ, वो गुजरात लीड कर रहा है। आज भी 40 से 45% जो दूध देश में उत्पादन होता है और उसकी जो क्या बोलते हैं डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, वितरण की प्रक्रिया है जी, वो पूरा गुजरात ने कंट्रोल करके रखा जी, आनंद से। और गुजरात बेसिकली, आज गुजरात स्टेट के अंदर इतने मतलब गाय भैंस हैं कि अगर हम उनके गोबर से जी, अगर हम गोबर गैस निकाल के, व्हिच इज मीथेन, दैट्स राइट, CH4, yes, उससे हम इंजन चला के जी, उससे बिजली पैदा करें और साथ में हाइब्रिड में सोलर लगाएं, 6-7 घंटे सोलर मिल जाएगी, बाकी समय गाय के गोबर से, गोबर गैस से बिजली बनेगी। मैं आपको बोलता हूं, हमारे गांव स्वावलंबी हो जाएंगे। हमारे गांव की आपको कोई जरूरत नहीं है, आपकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है, और वो अपना बिजली खुद पैदा कर सकते हैं। हमारे गांव खेड़े इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाएंगे, जो गांधी जी का जो व्यू था, विजन था, दैट्स राइट, उसमें गोबर गैस बेस्ड पावर और सौर ऊर्जा, ये दोनों प्रक्रिया बड़े तगड़े ढंग से उन गांव, वो कभी शहर की तरफ नहीं आएंगे। जी, सौर ऊर्जा, गोबर गैस और पवन भी हो सकता है, और पवन यानी विंड। बिल्कुल। उसके बाद उन्हें आपकी मेरी जरूरत ही नहीं है। करेक्ट। किसी गांव को किसी शहर की जरूरत नहीं है। सो विलेज एज अ यूनिट, एंड आफ्टर दैट यू डोंट नीड एनीबॉडी। बिल्कुल। ये क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे हैं हम?
इसलिए नहीं कर पा रहे कि कौन चाहेगा कि एक गांव जो है वो बड़ा इंडिजिनस हो जाए, इंडिपेंडेंट हो जाए, सेल्फ सफिशिएंट हो जाए, आत्मनिर्भर हो जाए। ऐसा कौन चाहेगा? देखिए कितने IAS ऑफिसर हम भेजते हैं। मैं अभी भी फिर से बोल रहा हूं कि मैं नेताओं को ब्लेम नहीं करूंगा ज्यादा, मैं इस IAS ऑफिसर्स को बोलना चाहूंगा कि आपको मौका मिलता है, जैसे वर्गीस कुरियन बने इंडियन सिविल सर्विस से इंडियन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सर्विस में जी, उन्होंने देश का रेवोल्यूशन किया जी। धीरूभाई अंबानी से पहले उनको अवार्ड मिला जी। मैं लेना नहीं चाहूंगा किस अखबार ने उनको अवार्ड दिया था। देश में
एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का अवार्ड जो सबसे पहले मिला अंबानी साहब से, धीरूभाई अंबानी साहब से पहले वर्गीस कुरियन को दिया गया।
जी
अब वो हमारे जो मिल्क मैन कहते हैं उनको, अब जब वो उस तरह के ऑफिसर पैदा हुए, उसके बाद मैं आपको बताऊंगा सूरत में, आपको याद होगा सूरत में प्लेग हुआ था
जी।
प्लेग से पहले सूरत इतना गंदा शहर था
जी
कि मेरे ख्याल से भारत वर्ष में ही कोई इतना गंदा शहर नहीं था
जी।
आज देश का सबसे साफ शहर सूरत है।
तो सबसे पहले वहां पे सबसे पहले चंद्रशेखर जी आए वहां पे।
नहीं, एस.आर. राव।
चंद्रशेखर, हाँ एस.आर. राव, टी चंद्रशेखर भी थे।
एस.आर. राव थे, और उसके बाद हमारे एच.एस. पटेल, डीजीवीसीएल के आज चेयरमैन है जो एच.एस. पटेल, he was one of the officers working with S.R. Rao. These officers made it. Aparna, the former Surat Municipal Corporation chief. These people made Surat not only livable but a world class city. हम क्यों कॉन्क्लेव लेके गए वहां? उसका कारण ये भी एक है कि इस वक्त राष्ट्र की सबसे स्वच्छ शहर राष्ट्र का और सबसे वाइब्रेंट शहर, आप बताइए। और उसके बाद हमारा बिछड़ा हुआ भाई, क्योंकि बॉम्बे प्रेसिडेंसी में सूरत आता था
जी
है, और जब हमारे, और
सबसे पहली अंग्रेजों की फैक्ट्री सूरत में लगी,
बिल्कुल लगी, बिल्कुल। आज वो टेक्सटाइल पावर हाउस है, डायमंड पावर हाउस है, और पावर का पावर हाउस है
जी। और सारा मुंबई शहर का जितना भी टेक्सटाइल का बिजनेस था सारा सूरत चला गया। अब ऐसे शहर में हमने जो ये बातें करी, ये हमने पूरे देश में इस गूंज को लाने के लिए करी, और ये गूंज गुजरात में भी गई है, राजस्थान में भी गई है। हमारी जो बात है गुजरात राजस्थान पहुंच चुकी है, ये छत्तीसगढ़ भी पहुंच चुकी है। मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा, लोग थे, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स आए, और मेरे ख्याल से और भी स्टेट आए, महाराष्ट्र से लोग आए काफी। मेरे ख्याल से हमारे जो 30% जो लोग थे, जो अटेंडिस थे, वो महाराष्ट्र से आए। देखिए, खरबूजे को देख के खरबूजा रंग बदलता है, तो पीपल टू पीपल मूवमेंट में महाराष्ट्र को जरूर फर्क पड़ेगा गुजरात से, महाराष्ट्र को जरूर फर्क पड़ेगा गुजरात से, राजस्थान को फर्क पड़ेगा गुजरात से,
बिल्कुल,
और आंध्र प्रदेश को फर्क पड़ेगा महाराष्ट्र से, कर्नाटक को फर्क पड़ेगा महाराष्ट्र से, और केरल को फर्क पड़ेगा कर्नाटक से, और तमिलनाडु को फर्क पड़ेगा आंध्र प्रदेश से। कहने का मतलब यह हुआ कि एक क्रांति का बीज बो दिया गया है, और इस क्रांति को अब आगे बढ़ाना है। क्या क्रांति है, एक बार फिर मैं आपको बता दूं, हर कोई आत्मनिर्भर हो, हर गांव आत्मनिर्भर हो, सौर ऊर्जा, गोबर गैस से ऊर्जा, पवन ऊर्जा, ये तीनों सिस्टम अगर हम सब लोग अडॉप्ट कर लें,
और एक इसमें मिला दें,
और उसके बाद किसी की आवश्यकता नहीं है,
हाइड्रो भी मिला दें।
जी, हाइड्रो हिल एरियाज के लिए हाइड्रो।
नॉट ओनली दैट, अभी देखिए नर्मदा में खाली बिजली नहीं पैदा हो रही है, नर्मदा पानी पुरोठा करता है। तो जो पानी पुरोठा है, देखिए आज महाराष्ट्र में कोयना के बाद कोई इतना बड़ा जल संचय के लिए कोई स्कीम ही नहीं आया, और आज हमारे जो बारिश होने वाली है अभी 3 महीने, सारा बारिश का अरब महासागर में चला जाएगा। उसको हम इकट्ठा करके छोटे छोटे रिजर्वायर में ऊपर स्टोर करके अगर इस तरह की रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग करें, मुंबई और पूना के बीच में लोनावला के अंदर एक बड़ा रिजर्वायर बनाए, तो मैं बोलता हूँ 50% महाराष्ट्र को ऐसे ही पानी मिल जाए।
करेक्ट।
और हम इसको नहीं,
because most of the rainwater is going straight into the Arabian Sea. We are not able to harvest it, because all the 7 or 9 lakes that we have built, they were built long time ago.
Absolutely.
So right now we need a huge new reservoir for harvesting rainwater.
Absolutely.
And rainwater harvesting is a bit of a joke, as was stated in the High Court recently.
Yes.
It's become a bit of a joke as far as the BMC is concerned.
Yes.
Because they say harvesting rainwater, you got to be kidding.
Yes. And basically, you know, when the rain falls, पहले बोलते थे हम जब किताबों में पढ़ते थे बच्चे होकर, उसमें चेरापूंजी receives highest rainfall in the country.
Yes.
अब मुंबई and its catchment area receives highest rainfall in the country. चेरापूंजी में तो बारिश ही नहीं होती है.
Correct.
सबसे ज्यादा बारिश यहाँ होती है, लेकिन सारा बारिश हमारे गटरों में, गटरों से फिर मीठी नदी में, बेचारी नदी खुद उस समय थोड़ी साफ हो जाती है क्योंकि बारिश का पानी चला जाता है, लेकिन और बाकी कोयना में गिरता है, सारा गिर के अरब महासागर के अंदर।
जी, and it is completely unutilized by everybody.
और इस पे कोई स्कीम नहीं बनाई, कोई पंपिंग स्कीम नहीं बनाई गई, इस पे कोई विचार नहीं किया जा रहा, जबकि ये कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है।
That's right.
ये बड़ा सिंपल, एकदम सिंपल माध्यमिक रूप से।
And when we will talk about this, when we meet next time, which will be next
100%. We should talk on
next
this.
week we will talk about it as to how to harvest the rainwater of Mumbai, which will help not just ease but perhaps solve the water problems of the entire state of Maharashtra. Mumbai, in fact, can solve the water problems of perhaps the entire state of Maharashtra.
Yes.
We can do that, and it is very easy to do. और इसमें कोई बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ी टेक्नोलॉजी की या बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ी अकल की या बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ी पारदर्शिता की आवश्यकता है, दूरदर्शिता की भी आवश्यकता नहीं है।
बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं आप। और मेरे ख्याल से बिजली और पानी, ये मेरे ख्याल से हर नागरिक के लिए बहुत ही अहम है,
जी।
अगर हम कोई सुपर पावर बनना चाहेंगे तो पहले बिजली और पानी को संभालना पड़ेगा,
That's right.
उसके बाद सड़क पड़क सब आ जाएगी। बिजली पानी सड़क की योजना जो हम बोल रहे हैं BPS, मैं BSP नहीं बोला,
जी।
नहीं तो कोई और खुश रहता। बिजली पानी सड़क का आंदोलन इस देश में अब हम बोल रहे हैं कि आपके चैनल के द्वारा हमें पूरे राष्ट्र में फैलाने की जरूरत है।
पूरे राष्ट्र में सबसे पहले, और हर चीज जो है एक, as that old Chinese proverb goes, even a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one small step.
Absolutely.
And the first step is from your building, from your housing society, from your house, start with solar energy. That's where it all starts from.
इसमें एक बात और बोलनी है मुझे, हर कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी में लोगों को अपने चेयरमैन सेक्रेटरी से पूछना चाहिए कि भाई तुम रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग क्यों नहीं लगा रहे हो।
That's right.
ठीक है, तो कम से कम आपका जो 3 महीने का बारिश का रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग हुआ तो 8 महीने पानी मिल जाएगा। इसका सवाल क्यों नहीं उठ रहा? This must be made mandatory by BMC on a war footing.
All right, but start it today. Forget about BMC. Why don't you start it today? What Professor Iyer said right over here, why don't we start it right here and now? And we'll remind you of it every day till the rains come. And of course, during the rains, we will not let you sleep till
That's
you
right.
do this, right? The rains are due between the 10th and 15th of June. And we will not let you rest till such time as you actually start asking questions, because these are the questions, the answers to which will mean the survival of our next generation. You've survived, but what about your coming generations? You want their survival or not? You will have to ask these questions and you will have to look for proper answers. Professor Iyer, thank you very much for coming over here. And
Thank you, Bajaj sir. Wonderful.
fantastic. Great show in Surat. Once again, congratulations.
Yes, and we only missed you, I feel. And that was the only missing element in that. If we had you in Surat, I think we would have had another great time live and you would have seen the energy of that city.
Right.
And we would have been infected by that energy for sure.
Wonderful. We'll meet in Thimphu, in
For sure.
Bhutan.
In Bhutan, yeah, that's the next thing we are doing. In July, we're going to
We'll
a
talk about
small
that.
state.
We'll talk about that when we meet over here next time. In the meantime, keep watching the Metro Network, and once again, thank you very much to Professor Iyer. You keep watching Metro Network. We'll of course be back tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye.